Honestly, I think people have this misconception that life is just something we just spawned into. But honestly, I think staying alive shouldn't feel like a choice. It should feel like a duty. Not a duty to society, not a duty to your parents, not even necessarily a duty to some grand purpose you've already discovered. A duty to yourself, because your life is unfinished. You haven't experienced everything you're going to experience. You haven't become everything you're capable of becoming, and you don't know what your future actually looks like. What's up, YouTube? I've been seeing a lot of people talk about how they don't really see any reason to live anymore. And honestly, I sympathize with that feeling a lot. Sometimes life can become so overwhelming that the question stops becoming, what do I want to accomplish? And it becomes, why should I even keep going? I don't think answering that question with some generic quote about how life is beautiful is honestly enough anymore. So instead, I want to give you 7 actual arguments for continuing to live and continuing to grow. Not 7 things you have to believe, 7 things worth thinking about. Number 1, your ancestors. Think about how absurdly unlikely it is that you specifically exist. Every generation before you had to survive long enough to have children. Your ancestors lived through wars, diseases, famine, accidents, poverty, disasters, and countless ordinary hardships that you'll probably never even know about. And eventually, all those lives have led to here, to you. You don't know most of their names, you don't know what they looked like, you don't know what their personalities were. You probably don't even know what most of them did with their lives. But their existence was part of a chain that allowed yours to happen, and I'm not saying you're personally indebted to every ancestor you've ever had, but I am saying there's something profound about realizing your life is something inherited. You were given an opportunity that billions of people who could have never existed never received. Maybe one reason to keep going is to not let the story end at the first chapter you hated. You can change what the next chapters look like if you try hard enough. Number 2, the unknown. Here's one that becomes especially interesting if you're religious or spiritual. You don't know what happens after death. Nobody can honestly tell you with absolute certainty what consciousness becomes afterward. Maybe there's an afterlife, maybe there's something completely beyond our current understanding, maybe there isn't anything at all. But that's precisely the point. You don't know. And if you don't know what's on the other side, why voluntarily rush toward an unknown that you can't reverse? If you believe in an afterlife, there may be many spiritual consequences you haven't considered. And if you're uncertain about spirituality altogether, that uncertainty itself should make you hesitate, because there's a huge difference between I know what's going to happen and I have no idea what's going to happen. When you have no idea what's going to happen, continuing to live gives you something incredibly valuable. More time to find out. Number 3, you haven't experienced all the good yet. Here's where I want to challenge a common thought. I've already experienced happiness and it wasn't enough. Okay, but think about what that actually means. You've experienced some forms of happiness, you've met some people, you've seen some places, played some games, listened to some music, had some good days, had some bad days, but your brain hasn't experienced every possible combination of experience your future can contain. You literally don't know what future happiness feels like. And there's an important distinction here. Not feeling good right now isn't proof that you're incapable of feeling good later. Your current emotional state is information about right now. It's not a prophecy about the rest of your life. Your brain changes, your circumstances change, your relationships change, your interests change, you change. So don't mistake I can imagine being happy for I am incapable of ever being happy. Those are completely different claims. Number 4, there's actually a lot to do in life when you really think about it. This one's pretty simple, but have you actually done everything you wanted to do? Have you made every project? Have you visited every place? read every book, met every person, learned every skill, created everything you want to create, build the thing you imagined building, written the story you wanted to write, answered every question you had? Obviously not. That's one of the strangest things about being alive. You don't need one giant purpose to justify your existence. Sometimes you just need hundreds of little purposes. Learn something, make something, help someone, travel somewhere. Because becoming better at something is what makes us happy. Start a project, finish a project, make a friend, watch something you've been waiting years to watch. Build something nobody else has built. You have an entire universe of possible experiences sitting right in front of you. You don't have to figure out which ones matter yet. You just have to stay alive long enough to discover them. Number 5. Have you even done the basics? And this is probably one of the least philosophical arguments, by the way. Sometimes you don't need to solve the meaning of existence. Sometimes you just need to eat something, drink water, sleep, go outside, take a shower, talk to someone, clean your room, go somewhere you've never been, put your phone down for an hour, actually experience the physical world around you, because when you're overwhelmed, your mind can make the entire universe feel like the problem. And sometimes the immediate problem is much smaller. You don't need to solve your entire life tonight. You need to get through today, then tomorrow, then the next day. And eventually the problem that felt infinite can become something you can actually work with. Number 6. Other people have suffered for the future. This is probably one of the most serious arguments in the entire video. Human civilization exists because people before us endured things they didn't want to endure. People have sacrificed their comfort, their safety, their time, and sometimes their lives so that other people could have better futures. Soldiers, doctors, firefighters, activists, parents, workers, ordinary people that you've never even heard of. And here's the most important part. Their sacrifice weren't necessarily made for you in specific, but you're part of the future they were trying to protect. So when you're struggling to remember that you're not just an isolated individual floating through history, you're a continuation of humanity. You inherited a world that other people spent their lives building, and you have the opportunity to build something for the people who come after you. Maybe that's your responsibility, maybe it's not. Just inherit the future to contribute to it. Number 7. Suffering is temporary. Your current suffering is not necessarily permanent. That's one of the most dangerous lies hopelessness can tell you. This is how it's always going to feel. But feelings change, circumstances change, people change. You change. The person you are at 15 isn't the person you'll be at 20. The person you are at 20 isn't the person you'll be at 30. You haven't met everyone you'll ever love. You haven't discovered everything you'll ever care about. You haven't seen what you're capable of becoming. And maybe you don't need to believe that everything will be magical and perfect. You don't need to believe that life will always be easy. You just need to leave open the possibility that it can become different, because different is enough. You don't need tomorrow to be perfect. You just need tomorrow to be possible. Alright, you've reached the end, honestly, but we're going to summarize everything. So let's go back to the beginning. Staying alive shouldn't feel like a choice. It should feel like a commitment to the possibility of becoming something that you haven't become yet. Your ancestors brought you here. The future is unknown. You haven't experienced everything that life can offer. There are things you haven't built, places you haven't seen, people you haven't met, questions you haven't answered, and suffering doesn't get to tell you what the rest of your life is going to look like. You don't have to solve your entire existence today. You just have to keep the story open, because you don't know what the next chapter contains. And that's exactly why you should stick around long enough to read it.